We're going to get started. My name's Allison Zavos. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief of the photography blog Feature Shoot. And before that, I've been a photo editor and been in the photo community for many years now. So I'm really excited to be here. I'm just going to let each of the panelists quickly introduce themselves, and we'll get started.
I'm Devin Allen, amateur photographer based out of Baltimore, most known for documenting the uprising in Baltimore City, and through social media, my picture landed on the cover of Time magazine.
Awesome. Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Dixie Dixon. I'm a fashion photographer and Nikon ambassador, and currently I just love bringing brands' visions to life and commercial photography and lots of traveling. So it's definitely been an adventure.
My name is Rinzi Ruiz from Los Angeles, California. Freelance photographer and a street photographer as well.
My name's Joe McNally, and I've been a professional photographer for 35 years. And I'm proud to note that I'm literally twice as old as anyone else on this panel.
I think that's really interesting, Joe, because you probably have one of the biggest followings of anyone on this panel. So I kind of want to kick it off with you. The topic of the talk is how social media has changed photography. And I kind of want to just, briefly get your perspective on how you think it's changed. You've been obviously doing this for 35 years. Social media has come up. You've wholeheartedly embraced it, and you have a massive following. How has that kind of changed your process over the years?
Well, digital and the internet changed everything for all of us, and social media as a component of that has become a absolutely, I think, essential part of any photographer's voice in terms of reaching a community. As traditionally I would wait for a phone call from magazines, Time, Newsweek, Life, National Geographic. Those phone calls have receded as the whole era of print journalism has dwindled and been, not replaced is the wrong word, but certainly supplanted or maybe shouldered aside by electronic media, digital, internet, social media. So it's becoming a very, very important part of our studio operation, and the initial foray into it, I can't claim to have any sort of really intelligent plan. It seemed like a good idea. We jumped in fairly early, and now it's pretty orchestrated. We're really blessed in that Annie Cahill runs our social media strategy and marketing here at our studio, and she's done an amazing job. And it's certainly, I think, maybe sums it up by just saying the phrase, "It gives us a voice."
Great. What about you, Dixie? You're kind of like spread out. You're on every network. How is that important to your career?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important. It's kind of funny. When Facebook was just getting started, I was in college, so I was one of the early adopters to Facebook. So there weren't a lot of photographers that were on there yet, so I would immediately post images after all my shoots. I was just shooting portraits and things like that. And friends would see the pictures and they would say, hey, I want my portrait done. So ultimately I started my business in college and really grew my business through Facebook. And then I've since kind of expanded to some of the other social media networks. And it's really interesting because I think social media allows people to see an insider's view into your world. And it's interesting to communicate that and really share your stories. And it just creates an outlet for all photographers to get known and to really share their vision with the world. So,
can you just be a little bit more specific about how you grew your business through Facebook and how you kind of were able to attract clients in that way?
Yeah, absolutely. When I would post images, people would comment. I was very, very involved, and I would respond to all of their comments, tag people in them, and I added a lot of people that I didn't know originally on Facebook. I know you're not really supposed to do that, but I added a bunch of people that were in my industry, and most of the time people would accept my friend request, and so I've gotten to know a lot of people on there through adding different folks. And I also, for all of my jobs, I do a lot of Facebooking, like for locations, for talent when I travel abroad, looking for different models, different locations, different props. I'll just say, hey, I'm doing a shoot in this location. Does anyone have a car that we could use? So I'm really active in that way. And I think that's kind of helped the engagement.
Awesome. Rinzi, you shoot in LA, downtown LA, very gritty, like cool black and white imagery. And your Instagram is amazing. Anyone go check that out. So do you feel like street photography kind of lends itself to the platform? How do you what is your process on Instagram? What is your plan there?
For Instagram, I only post ever so often, so it's not all the time. And with street photography, it's sort of a niche photography genre. So it matters having a community of people, and because it's such a niche genre, you only have certain people looking at your work. It makes it a little more difficult, but at the same time, with the community, it helps to put your stuff out there and get that immediate feedback to what the people that do kind of the same thing as you do think about your work. I think that helps a lot with my learning, with the types of photos that I might produce. Now, not all of it's that important to me. Like what matters is, of course, what I think about my work. But it does help and gives you an idea of what people are thinking. Because I can put something up that I think is so awesome, but it won't get any attention at all whatsoever. And I'll put something that I thought that was okay. I liked it, but what maybe wasn't. I felt like maybe it wasn't my best work. But then it's getting more likes than what I thought it would get. So there's a difference, but I think it helps too to put the work out there so that it can be seen by not just street photographers, but a bigger population.
How does that, I think we've all been through it. I mean, I know when we put stuff up, I'm like, on the feature shoot Instagram, I'm like, oh, this is going to go crazy, and like, no one likes it. And then the image that I'm not so sure about goes like mad crazy. So how does that, I'm just curious on how that, and this is kind of a question for the entire panel, how does that kind of influence what you do decide to post? Do you like take that information in and then decide to like, okay, maybe I'll post in this direction because that's what people seem to be like, interested in, instead of doing, maybe it's even a project, instead of maybe working on this subject matter, which no one seems to really be responding to?
Well, I can't predict, right? So every image is different in one way or another. So I can't predict what people are going to like and what they don't like. So I just got to count on what I think is my best work, or at least what I want to present. And a lot of it is black and white street photography. And it's funny when I do post like a sunset shot or some kind of nature shot, how that gets a different reaction, and maybe even more than something that I felt like, wow, man, it took me a long time to get that shot. Like I waited maybe 40 minutes for a shot in downtown LA versus, just sitting with some friends at the beach and I get this nice shot, and then it's getting so many more likes than something I felt like I worked a little harder for. So I can't predict what people will like. So it just, for me, it's just how do I like my own work,
right?
And really base it on that.
What are some other popular, what goes crazy on your Instagram or Facebook walls? Just for the entire, Joe, for instance, what really does well on your Instagram?
I'm right there with Rinzi. It's a little unpredictable, to be honest. I think the bottom line for us is that we just try to post something that we feel is interesting or pictorially worthwhile or editorially, seaworthy. And then we have to be happy with that result, no matter what it is. We try to stay away from just posting to post. So it's hard to predict.
Gotcha. Devin, I want to talk to you because you've had Time Magazine, for instance, called you a viral sensation. And just by talking to you a little bit backstage, I totally see what they're talking about. So one of your images landed on the cover of Time Magazine of the Baltimore riots, the protests that were going on there. So can you talk a little bit about how that happened, and also kind of, where you are now? You're wearing Under Armour, for instance. Maybe you can go into that a little bit as well.
So basically, when I went out to go document, I'm born and raised in West Baltimore. So I felt as though I could capture the raw essence of the story better than any reporter or journalist that came into that community, because I felt as though they was not going to dig deep enough because they didn't care enough. So the first day I went out, I was still working a 9 to 5. I was working actually 12 at night to 8 in the morning with people with autism. So I would shoot all day and then go to work at night. We had an 11 p.m. Curfew. I would stay out past curfew. The journalists, they all had their helmets and their press passes. I didn't have any of that. I was pepper sprayed, tear gas, I was hit with shields and everything else trying to document this story. So the first day of the uprising, I basically was like, I'm gonna document the story, and as I shoot, I'm gonna post. So everything that I shot, I wanted to beat media to the punch. So it was snap a picture, if it was good enough, if I liked it, if I felt some type of emotion from it, it was going straight to Twitter and Instagram. So when I snapped the cover of Times, I snapped the picture. I'm like, it's a pretty cool picture. I didn't think nothing of it. Sent it to my phone, put it on Instagram and Twitter, looked up, and the police was like, we was like face the shield. And he was about to knock me over, but he helped me get over the railing. So kept shooting. My mother called me, cussed me out because she saw me on CNN and I was too close. Kept shooting, and then the picture went viral, 1,000 retweets, 1,000 likes on Instagram. I just kept posting and kept document. From there, Rihanna, Usher, a lot of different artists started posting my pictures. The BBC contacted me. I just kept working. Everything kept going viral. And it just was amazing. The next thing I knew, Time reached out to me to do a blog post for the Lens blog, and I did that. Thought it was over. Just kept documenting. I was out for 3 weeks straight. Contacted me again. I have a full spread in the magazine also. Got that. Then they call me back and say, send us this picture. We want to try it on the cover. We'll let you know if you get it. I said, yeah, whatever. And kept shooting. Woke up the next morning to, like 100 plus tweets, and they say amateur photographer snags the cover of Time.
Wow.
The third amateur photographer to ever do so. I cried. Then went back out
I'm
and
about
just
to cry.
Yeah, I went back out, kept shooting, and I actually landed in the following issue also in the table of contents. And from that, those guys are amazing. They helped me get work such as Instagram and going to Look 3 Festival, and then just helping with my career, showing me the ins and outs. From there, I'm just getting back from Asia. I'm sponsored by Under Armour now. I work with Under Armour. Still documenting the stories in the community. I was able to start my own photography program, teaching inner city kids photography at the safe zone where the uprising and the burnt down CVS took place. I'm still in the community, still working. So I'm living my dream right now. And it's all through, putting my work straight to social media.
That's amazing. I mean, a lot of times we talk about what a burden social media is, and it's, it's taking us away from like living our lives and being in the moment and having, experiences. But so, you're like one of the great success stories, I feel. I mean, do you feel like this would have happened without, in some way, shape, or form, without kind of the push of social media, like through traditional media? Do you think that this could have ever happened?
I tried traditional media before that, and the Baltimore Sun would never return my calls, never look at my pictures. I sent them through people that were friends of the paper, never got a reply. My story would probably be a little bit different if I still took to that route. They're the reason why I took to social media, because they wouldn't accept my work. And it was kind of stressful because I didn't think my work was good enough at one point. But I said I'm gonna just keep on, and I just kept pushing. And I'm here now, so it's amazing. With social media, it just allows you to connect to people you would never meet.
Right.
And it gives, people a voice that they didn't have before. Like I call myself a dialogue creator. Like I'm not a journalist. I create conversation with my images. That's why I don't worry about catching the story or documenting it with words. I just let a person take what they can take from my photos.
That's amazing. Just to touch a little bit on, I guess, maybe the pressures of social media. Do any of you feel pressured? I know you're all very active. Does it become a burden, or is it something you look forward to doing, or how do you feel about it? Is it, and I guess specifically also, I think all the time about being a photographer and having to be in the moment, especially for you too. You just said you were out photographing, then you immediately posted it on Twitter and Facebook. I mean, does that take you out of the moment? How do you feel about that?
It not not to me. Once I'm in the zone, I'm in the zone. So when I post a picture, I go right back to shoot. I might miss some pictures, but I don't just go out and just hold my shutter down. I treat my mirrorless camera as if I'm shooting film. So every shot is very important to me, and I take my time with every shot. So I take the time to post those. Definitely when I'm documenting the story, because I want people to know the raw essence of that story. And a lot of people get caught up in, when they watch the news and they're not getting the entire story. If I have to take 5 minutes and post 5 images back to back, I know it's excessive and people say, why is he posting so many pictures? I don't care. I don't care about likes. I don't care about any of that.
Awesome.
It's just about getting the work out there to the public.
Awesome. What do you guys think? Any comments on that?
I mean, I think part of the fun of photography these days is being able to share and have this whole world that we can share our images with. I mean, no one was given a passion that wasn't meant to be shared, and now we have the ability to do that as photographers. So I think it's an amazing thing. I mean, part of the fun of me going to shoots and doing what I do is being able to share it.
Mm-hmm. It's great.
Well, I think it's different too, just now compared to maybe 3 or 4 years ago, where I'd be shooting, I'd have to still go home, download it to my my computer, process, and then at some point post it up. And now with like Wi-Fi capability, it's so simple. Just link it to your phone and post it right away. As far as feeling like I have to, I mean, if it's a really good photo and I know it is, then yeah, I mean, I'm going to share it. But typically, I still want to take some time to make sure that it's the right content to put out. It's it's something I want to present.
Joe, how much do you think about what you post? Because we were talking backstage and you were saying, that you don't, like, for instance, Periscope, you only post when there's something really amazing to put out there. How much do you post on the fly, or is it something that you really, like, sit down and think about and kind of, take time to edit through, and what is your process?
I think it's a mix of both, really. Some things occur, quickly, organically, and other things, you edit the take, you're a bit more considerate about it, but things can occur, and I agree with, I mean, this is definitely dates me, but taking time to Instagram now with Wi-Fi from your camera to your phone, I grew up in an era of journalism where if you were covering at Yankee Stadium for a wire service, you had to leave and go back and process your film in a darkroom by the third inning so you could get your butt on the wire before the AP. So you'd miss probably 2 innings, and then you'd print that neg wet and caption it and put it on the wire machine and then go back out to shoot the rest of the ball game. So this is like dreamland. This is comparatively easy. That's, to me, the whole digital revolution. The ability of the cameras to do what they do has opened our imaginations, widened the envelope for us of what is possible. Like Devin was saying, traditional journalism turned him down, basically didn't take his phone calls. And I always liken it to the democracy of digital. It's opened this whole thing up, and people can share things that aren't officially commissioned. Let's put it that way. You can support your own voice visually. And the fun thing for me is to hear comments downstream. Once you kind of pop something up there, you reconnect. I still get tickled by it, that I can post a picture and then get a comment from Tokyo. It's wild.
Agreed. That also brings up another topic that I wanted to kind of touch on, which is interacting with people, interacting with your followers or your fans or anyone else on social media. How do you guys do that? Do you just post stuff and then, kind of put it out there and then go about your business? Or are you actively, like, responding to commenters and engaging in dialogue? And if you are, why is that important to you? Devin.
For me, I do interact. I love talking to people. I love, feedback on my work. It can be harsh sometimes. Like when I first started this journey a couple months ago, the photojournalism world tore me apart. On my Instagram, like the comments, I'm like, gosh, this is a community I want to be a part of. And
They're jealous.
Just turn me down,
Yeah.
But, all that did was just inspire me. Seeing people love my work or hate it, it inspires me to get better. You know, if you love it, thank you. I appreciate it. It's inspiring. You know, and I love seeing those comments. I love talking to people, and I've met so many friends, you know, photographer friends that have helped me on this journey. Just by them commenting and me saying something back, we have built a relationship just off that. You know.
That's great. Dixie, what about you? How does it play with the commercial photographer?
Absolutely. I think it's really important to engage with your community. And I think photography is all about connection. And Instagram, Facebook, it's the same thing. When you connect with the people that see your photographs, it just makes it that much better. People feel connected to your brand when they see behind the scenes photos. And, you know, it's fun to tag people that I work with on set because they get to see it all. And it's just a great community. It really is.
Rinzi, do people who you photograph ever find you on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that?
There's one case where somebody actually, they saw me take their picture, and I think later on they figured out who it was, and then messaged me on Flickr saying, hey, would you happen to have a picture of me that you took about a year ago?
Really?
And so I had to go back through I asked him to send me a picture of himself, and I found it. It wasn't that good, so I didn't end up posting it, but it was funny that he remembered that that I took his picture. Very interesting.
Joe?
I think one of the things I learned early on is social media is social. It has to be a two-way street. You know, that's why my blog is always open to comments, and even if the comments are negative, I publish them, because otherwise it's not a conversation anymore.
What if the comments are anonymous, just out of curiosity? Do you post anonymous comments?
I generally publish just about everything unless it's so horribly offensive.
Yeah.
And occasionally, unbelievably, you get that, you know. So we do have a safety net, I guess you would call it. But generally speaking, even if somebody says, hey, that picture sucks, man, what are you thinking, you know, I publish that. That's their viewpoint. They're entitled to it.
And then that starts a whole dialogue in itself, most likely.
Fine. Yep.
Right.
I think that's what's great about it is it kind of keeps you real, right? Because there's a lot of people out there that's going to say, hey, you know, awesome picture or great shot. I mean, all these nice adjectives to describe your work. But then there's some people there who have followed your work from a certain point. And as soon as you kind of go off of that, they're like, hey, man, what are you doing? And I like that. I like people who kind of say, hey, I liked your work in this time period. Like, what's going on with you right now? Like, is there something going on in your life? Or, like, they get even personal, too, like asking if something's going on in my life and why my pictures aren't as good as maybe last week or the week before. So I like that part of the interaction with, with people that see the work.
I think a lot of times, I mean, obviously, well, I don't know, at least for me and looking at Feature Shoot, the critical comments, even if it's not about my work, I mean, you know, even if it's about somebody else or even if it's about the site, the site's gone downhill lately or whatever. Sometimes I find those are they're more interesting. But at the same time, it's hard for me, because I take everything really personally, it's hard for me to kind of like, you know, to really just like read that, take it in and move on. You know, sometimes I feel like you could get stuck on that kind of stuff. How do you guys deal with criticism? Devin?
I deal with it pretty good. I grew up with it all my life. Like, I have a strong backbone from where I come from. But I deal with it a lot. Like I've been like on a black and white tear for like a while, and then I post a color picture, and do you say, what the F are you doing? Why are you taking pictures in color? You're not supposed to do that. And I was like, wow, I thought this was my camera. Like, but, you just roll with the punches.
Yeah.
You know?
Dixie, what about you?
I'm the same way as you. I take everything so personal.
Yeah.
It's like, I need to have that strong backbone that you have.
No, we need to hang out.
Sometimes it's really hard, though, when you get negative comments. And but like you said, you just got to roll with it and keep doing your work and putting it out there. That's all you can do as a photographer. And that's all you can do.
Do you respond to negative commenters?
I've learned the hard way that I don't respond to negative.
No, do you ban them?
No, I don't ban them either. I just let them be, let them do their thing.
Do you ban them, Devin?
I have a long block list. If you say some crazy stuff, I'm just going to block you. Spam. I'm going to put you a spam. Don't go too far.
All right, Rinzi. Block or no block?
I don't. I
No?
welcome it. I went to art school, so part of it is being critiqued. My work
Right.
being critiqued. So kind of got used to both sides, like positive and negative, and then I just take what I can from it. And but I got to stay true to who I am and just keep doing it. So it doesn't affect me as much. If there is a really really bad comment, I might go, "Whoa, I can't believe somebody would say that," but I'm not going to take it too much to heart.
Joe, what about you? You've got a massive following. What do you think? Criticism.
When I was working for the UPI, I turned in a job that was so bad that my editor actually took the 3 rolls of black and white and crushed them and formed a ball of film on his desk and reassigned it to another photographer. And when I approached him in the UPI newsroom, in the middle of the newsroom, he stood up and threw it at me and hit me with it and told me to get out and offered a quick analysis of my ancestry and his rather dim hopes for my future in this industry. So after that happens, it's all gravy, you know? You know?
Those were the old days. They would never get away with that now.
They can say what they want. They're
Yeah.
entitled to say what they want. It's a two-way street. As Rinzi just said, critique is part of it. You need a voice outside your own head.
That's great. I just kind of am interested in, especially you guys, all of you are very active. How do you deal with the demand for more and more content? Are you still like trying to be selective with what you put out there, or are you kind of trying to feed the monster, if you will? Everyone's it's all about more these days. So
I think I probably put out too much content.
Yeah?
Yeah, I take 100 to 200 pictures a day. So I try to if I don't take pictures, I feel sick. So I go out every day and take pictures nonstop.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd say posting wise for me, I'm more quality over quantity, if you will. I guess I'm overly picky, but I love that you post so much because I wish that I would feel like free to do that. But sometimes it's like I only want to post my select few fashion images that I absolutely am in love with instead of the whole run of them. But I think that's also very different in photojournalism and fashion photography. With fashion, there's so much editing and retouching and so much that goes into it. So I only want to post those final images usually. But it's also really tricky to, like you said, keep up with the demand for so much content. So I try to post a lot of behind-the-scenes imagery as well to see the making of the image, and I think that adds a lot of interest to the page.
great.
I don't know if there's so much a demand for the type of work that I do specifically, but I'm very selective also with the work that I put out there, and like she said, quality over quantity. I want to make sure that the photos that I present represent me very well, and I don't want something out there that like the one photo that sucks, and then that's what everybody thinks that you're a sucky photographer. So I want to make sure that all of my stuff there is at least for me the best that I can do. So I'm not posting. I'm post like maybe every day, but that's work that I've collected over a long period of time that I've let marinate, and I've picked out, and I said, okay, this is ready to be posted. And then, yes, there's occasions where on a day I might really like something and I'll post that. And once in a while I'll post something maybe personal, like, hey, I'm here at PIX2015. So
You're right.
like those things are different from like my personal work. But it's all kind of merged in there with Instagram and Facebook versus, for example, Tumblr or Flickr, where I'm even more selective with photos that I put on there.
I put pressure on myself, actually. The blog creates a little bit of pressure because I try to write it once a week, and I can feel that sometimes. I can feel like, oh man, I got to come up with an idea, or I hope something happens, or I hope I generate a photograph that's actually worth talking about. And trust me, there's many weeks that I don't do that. So you have to kind of modulate that. There's not an intense demand, like, what are you doing? Kind of we're waiting for the next thing. Yeah, I think if if you're feeling that, you're creating it yourself. So I try just to kind of calm down and post when I feel it's appropriate or I have something good.
I think we're going to end on that. Calm down, post when you feel like it's appropriate, and you have something good. I think that's like a good, a good way to end. So thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.